Good morning. So, yesterday we talked about inherited traits and we talked about how we got there. So, we started with our cells and we went into the nucleus, which is an organelle found inside of the cell. And then inside of that nucleus, you find those chromosomes, those thread like structures that hold our DNA. So, I gave you a couple of things to be thinking of yesterday and to kind of look at yourself to see if you had a widow's peak or to see if you had a hitchhiker's thumb, what color your hair is, um, what color your eyes are, if you're right or left handed. There's so many things that get passed down to you from your parents and from your family. So, hopefully, you had a chance to look at some of those things. So, today we're going to take a little step back. So, we've talked about inherited and we've mastered that. Go back to some of those other vocabulary words and really break them down and talk about them and some examples. So I did make a chart here. So you have inherited traits, and then below is your inherited behavior. So again, when you see that word inherited, it means that it's from your parents, and these are things that you cannot choose to have. Okay, it's just automatically in your DNA. When I think about the word trait, I usually think of something that you see on your body. So those are the things we were talking about yesterday. So hair color, if you're tall or short, dimples, if you have a cleft chin, remember that's when you kind of have like a little dimple right here in your chin. Right or left-handed, freckles, colorblind, and even your body type. Okay, so if your dad is really tall and skinny, then you might end up being really tall and skinny. So body type also goes along with that. But you can tell that I have a star there, so that means something important that we're going to come back to in just a minute. All right, so let's go to inherited behavior. So we talked about this as well. So inherited means that you get it from your parents, but behavior is something that you do. It's not something that you see on your body. Okay, behavior is something, an action that you do. So if it's inherited in you and you don't get to choose that action, then we call it an instinct. So I listed a couple of instincts here, and some of these go along with your ecosystems unit. So one that we talked about before is swimming, and that's dogs. So dogs, a lot of dogs don't have to learn how to swim. It's an instinct. They already know how to. If you hold them over water, their little paws just go ahead and start moving. But you can see I have a star there, so we'll come back to that. Animals hibernating and migrating. Animals, you don't have to tell animals, oh, you need to go migrate for the winter, or you need to hibernate for the winter. They just automatically, instinctively know to do that. Crying, we talked about that as a baby, or even now if we're sad or sleepy or whatever. Bats sleeping upside down, spiders spinning a web, and even being athletic. Now, I wasn't sure, I was kind of debating between putting it here and here, but being athletic is more of something that you can do, so I put it down here. Again, it has a star, so we'll come back to that. So that's something that you might inherit. You might be really good at catching a ball. Okay, it might only take you when you were little a couple of times before you caught the ball. Or some of you might not be as athletic and it took you a long time before your eye and hand coordination could meet up and for you to catch a ball, and that's okay. All right, so athletic. Okay, so we've covered our inherited. Now there's a whole nother side to this. So there's other things about you that you didn't necessarily get from your parents. You have choice in it. Okay, so let's start here. So we do have some similar words. Okay, but this time we have the word acquired traits. So acquired means something that you get over time, and it's due to your environment. So it's not something you're born with. Okay, it's something that maybe you choose to do. It might not be something you chose, but it definitely wasn't something you were born with. Okay, and trait, so again, we're thinking about things that we can see physically on your body. So for example, a scar. So when you were learning how to ride a bike, I don't know, 5 years old, maybe older, and you fell off your bike and you got a scar. You weren't born with that. That was not an inherited trait of yours, but now it's part of your body. You always have it. Okay. Some people get plastic surgery. So if you're born one way and you want to fix something about yourself, then you get plastic surgery, and that's an acquired trait. That's a new trait that you now have that you weren't born with. Same thing with piercings. So if you pierce your ears, your nose, whatever, your eyebrows, okay, piercings are an acquired trait. They're not something you're born with. You're not born with holes in your ears for earrings. Tattoos. Tattoos are also an acquired trait, so you're not born with tattoos. You'd be born with a birthmark. Some of you might have birthmarks, and obviously that is an inherited trait because it's from birth. It's a birthmark. But nobody's born with a tattoo. Calluses. So if you work really hard, some of you, maybe your dad or mom has calluses here. My workout friends, okay, have some calluses here. Or if your parents work in construction, they might have some calluses on their fingers. So that is not something that they were born with. That happened over time due to their environment, due to their work. And then body size. So you can gain and lose weight. You can also gain and lose muscle, okay, of your choice. So this is why I have a star here, and let's go back to body type here. So you can't quite choose your body type that you're born with. Like I said, if your dad is tall and lengthy, you might be that same way. But if you eat more or you lift weights, you can build muscle and become heavier if you were born to be really skinny, or vice versa. Okay, so there's a little bit of choice with that one. That's why we have stars there. Okay? All right, let's move on. So another one that you can choose, so this is the non-choosing side, this is the choosing side, is a learned behavior. So we have behavior over here, but this one's inherited. Remember our instinct. This one is a learned behavior. So this is something that you do that you had to learn how to do. Okay? So things like walking, language. Now, a lot of kids get confused with the language because they think if you are Hispanic, then you are born knowing Spanish, but that's not true. Okay? Language is something that you have to learn. Okay? Riding a bike, reading, driving, sports, and swimming. So I do have a star with swimming. So remember, we talked about dogs. Dogs, it's an instinct because they naturally start to swim. But for people, that's a learned behavior. You have to learn how to swim. Same with sports. Remember, we talked about athleticness over here. So you might be athletic, but you still have to learn the sport and the rules and how to play. Okay? All right, so those are your 4. If you can come up with more examples, that'd be great. Go ahead and add this into your science notebook. So just take a page, or you can even do a blank paper or make a foldable if you want, and add this, and you can put your own examples if you want to, and that way you have these 4 in there and you can use them as a study guide. All right, I hope you guys are having fun with this, and I will see you tomorrow with some, or not tomorrow, Monday, with some more fun activities. Be ready to maybe draw with me, and yeah, we're gonna have fun. All right, bye.